Welcome back, class. We're here with another set of notes on how to improve your college essay. What's up, guys? I'm Dylan. I hope everything's going well during this crunch time for college applications. I have been editing essays every single day for the past, few months, and I'm realizing so many different things as I'm doing it and finding so many of the same mistakes being repeated over and over and over again. Now, I don't want you to waste your time making all of these mistakes without knowing and then having to fix them later on. So let's prevent them from the start, shall we? I actually had a whole other video just like this where I did a ton of college essay tips and advice and how to fix your mistakes. And I guess this is sort of a part 2 where I describe even more tips that weren't mentioned in that video. Now, if you haven't started your college essay at all and you need the extra guidance, I have an entire college essay course that walks you through step by step how to develop, structure, and strategize a perfect college essay. Alright, so let's get into it. The first main thing I always see when editing essays is that students spend the majority of their essay talking about the problem, the anecdote, or the situation, which leaves the ending feeling very crowded and rushed. The main thing that colleges want to know is how you handled that situation. The thoughts and feelings that went into it, the actions you took, and the significance of them and what that taught you. Try to condense your opening anecdote to 1 to 2 paragraphs. Do not go any longer than that. While the college essay is storytelling, it shifts in the way that you tell the story throughout the essay. The beginning is more of the situational problem stuff where it's very present moment, but then after that, it takes a step back to reflect on what you just talked about and explain your own personal feelings about it, and then that is the turning point that takes it into the action of the main thing that you did to quote-unquote solve that problem. And then after that, it goes to the significance, which is really what you want to focus on and what so many students are not focusing on enough. My next tip for making your college essay super strong, especially in its storytelling, is by having an intention behind every single sentence, behind every single paragraph. Every word that you say in your college essay needs to be leading us somewhere. There must be a purpose behind it. It's leading us to the main point which you're eventually going to get to if you haven't already gotten to it. So a lot of times when I'm editing a paragraph, I'll think about, wait a minute, what even is the point of this paragraph? I get some of the ideas that you're saying here, but it needs to be a lot more focused to directly guide the reader to your main point or the eventual climax. If you think about it, and I've been thinking about it, a lot of the storytelling techniques that you use in college essays are kind of similar to screenplays. Very similar to a movie, no line that a character says is just said to be said. There is a reason why they are saying it. And also very similar to a movie, they come back to different things that they mentioned in the beginning and they make those connections. This is why it's really awesome and satisfying for the reader when you connect something that you mentioned in the beginning in the end. Making sure that you have an intention behind every sentence and every paragraph will make your essay more cohesive and give you an indicator of what's necessary to include and not include. Okay, the next tip is so important, and I find myself saying this over and over when editing college essays. Put yourself at the forefront. What does that mean? If you're telling us about a situation, don't just tell us the situation. Show us the experience through your eyes. It is your perspective. You are the one experiencing it. So how are you feeling about each of the things you're talking about? For example, if you had the opportunity to take a class in psychology, rather than stating, the class taught us about visual perception and development psychology and blah, 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 you can still tell us what the class was about while also including your personal take on it. And I'm just making up a rough example here, but maybe it's like, I fell in love with the intricacies of visual perception and the way that blah, 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 blah. And here's another example. Even if it's something that just happened and you weren't really a part of it at all, you still noticed it. So maybe instead of saying, a man threw a ball to his dog at the park, put you at the forefront. So maybe it's, I noticed a man throwing a ball to his dog at the park. And then maybe after that, you want to explain something peculiar that stood out to you about that. Maybe you had some sort of opinion about the man wiping his hands off from the dog's slobber. The point is, put it from your perspective and show what was going on in your mind. Okay, the next one. You're gonna hate me for this. I'm sorry if you hate me after I say this. You may think that I'm calling you out specifically, but I promise I'm not because so many students do this. Let's talk about common, general, overused phrases. Open my eyes to different perspectives, or a wide range of perspectives. I want to immerse myself in a different culture. Expand my horizons, broader scope of the world around me. X school is the perfect place for me. X school will provide me with so many opportunities to explore my passions. I look forward to endless possibilities. Do any of those sound familiar? I know. I think I kind of did them too when I wrote my college essay. But the thing is, everyone writes those phrases and they're not really special. You want to stand out, right? So try to be more specific. You can get away with saying some of those phrases, but as long as you have the very specific examples to back it up. Or honestly, the best way to go is maybe just say it in a different way that doesn't involve those specific words. And another way is to show it. Of course, show don't tell, I talk about this all the time. So please, stay away from these phrases. I know it's in your essays right now, go take them out. Or at least revise them so they're a little bit more specific and can actually be more personal to you. All right, for the next tip, kind of similar to the last one, here's another phrase you don't want to use. I have always had a passion for blank, or I have always loved blank, or I have always been interested in blank. So many students say this, but what does it really bring to the table? Think about the intention that I mentioned earlier. What is the intention of the sentence? Is it to show that I'm really passionate about the subject and have so much experience and training in whatever it is? Then sure, okay, yes, that can be the intention, but you need to show it rather than saying, I have always been interested in blah, blah, blah. Show us how you discovered this passion and show us how you developed it. Explain why you're so interested in this rather than just saying that you're interested in it. What are the very specific, intricate things about that subject that make you so drawn to it? You can actually swap this whole sentence for an actual anecdote that demonstrates this passion. Speaking of passion, I just want to say really quickly, try to stay away from that word. I know we all love to say that word. It's a key word, it's a buzzword. That's another word that everyone also uses, so try to say it in a different way. Let's talk about topic sentences. Once again, bringing up that idea of having an intention behind everything that you say, your topic sentences of each paragraph need to show that intention. A lot of times, students will start their topic sentences with the context, the time, and the location. For example, in my junior year, I started a club. That's great, but we want to show the intention behind it, and another thing is to transition from the previous paragraph into that paragraph. So if you were just talking about a problem that was going on, which is the reason why you started the club, then work that into it. So maybe, and this is just an example, but to combat this issue, I started a club that would da-da-da-da-da and explain how it would solve that issue. That puts so much more of your personal motivation behind it, rather than just stating the context or the facts. Ooh, okay, next tip. Do not restate the prompt. Do not restate any part of the prompt. Do not take words from the prompt and put it in your essay to try to make sure that you're addressing the prompt. Your essay will show them that you're addressing the prompt. You do not need to and should not explicitly state it. For example, if the prompt is describe something that is meaningful to you, don't say in your essay, playing piano is meaningful to me because. You can be more creative with that, okay? I believe in you. Another one. For example, one of the UC prompts are about a significant educational opportunity. When talking about that program you did or whatever, don't call it a significant educational opportunity. Instead, show them how it was significant or educational. Let your essay speak for itself. This comes across as so much more powerful. Let your essay stand alone and not directly try to answer the question. Except it should answer the question, of course, just without stating the prompt. Next up on our list of tips, we have repetition, as in don't repeat words that you just said. If you're gonna use a word in a sentence, don't use that same word again in that sentence. Or not even in the same sentence. Don't use the same word if you've already used it in the sentence above it or below it. Just find a different way to say it. Okay, I just wrote up this example really quickly. Let me share. Though the scope of the project was nearly impossible to finish in 2 weeks, I was up for the challenge. The first few days went smoothly, but as I dove deeper into research, I continuously found that my biggest challenge wasn't the workload, but my motivation. So looking at this example, one thing that we can fix is the use of the word challenge. I said it twice in a close proximity. So maybe let's change the second time that I say challenge into a different word that means practically the same thing. So I'm gonna change challenge to roadblock, and there we go. I continuously found that my biggest roadblock wasn't the workload, but my motivation. By refraining to repeat the same words in a close proximity to each other, it helps with the flow of your essay. Not only does this apply to single words like I just mentioned, but it can also be applied to common themes that are shown throughout the course of your essay. Every time you circle back to the main theme of the essay, say it in a different way. Don't use the same phrasing. Okay, another tip that I want to talk about really briefly is to not be afraid to separate your ideas into separate paragraphs. So many times I see students try to cram all the information in the whole story into one paragraph. But you know what? It actually helps with the flow of your essay if you actually break it up into different paragraphs, so we feel like we're moving from one idea to another. Alright, now the last tip that I want to say in this video is that your intellectual vitality and the significance that you talk about from whatever experience that you're going through is way more powerful and matters so much more than your tangible accomplishments. So even if you won a million different trophies and championships and whatever, the thing colleges care more about is how that activity or experience helped your personal growth. So while you can mention the tangible impact, don't focus too much on all the awards, trophies, all that stuff. The personal impact means so much more. And in terms of showing your intellectual vitality, sometimes the work and the effort that goes into the activity teaches you so much more and has a stronger impact than the actual winning of the game or of the competition. It's about that deep down significance and personal values that will show the college admissions officer who you truly are, so they know that kind of person that they're admitting to their campus. That's all I got for you guys today. I hope you found this helpful. If you need help revising your essays, do not hesitate to contact me. You can check out my website with all of my resources in the description. I offer essay editing, mentorship over Zoom where you can talk about your ideas with me, and I have an entire college essay course, like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, that walks you through the whole process. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe or tell your friends. Honestly, anything helps and I really appreciate it. So I hope you all have a wonderful day and I'll see you all in the next video.